What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the College Football Recap Preview Show with my buddy Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports. I'm your host, Will ND, and we're going to break down all these rivalry matchups and what happened, all the chaos. We're going to look at the Conference Championships, and we're going to take a look at the playoff format, what we think could change from after the Conference Championships, including right now it looks like my Fighting Irish are taking on Jeffrey's Crimson Tide, so definitely talk about that game. And maybe we can dabble a little bit in the who's jumped in the portal, because there have been some big portal additions as well. Jeffrey, what did you think about everything that's going on?
Rivalry week was insane. Mm-hmm. I mean, absolutely insane. You had the fights, right? Like the fights were epic. The flag planting that everybody's saying it's got to stop. Some people are like, let it continue. Like it makes the the fights are great for some people. And for must-see television, but at the same time, you don't want people getting hurt either. Like there was some casualties, nobody dying or anything, but like there people were bloodied in the Michigan Ohio State fight. Like you don't want to see that. You don't want it to get that bad. But at the same time, it was crazy, and the results were crazy. I mean, all year, honestly. Like people have said, feels like 07, whatever you want to call it. It's been a wild year with a lot of upsets, and really. No matter how much your team is favored by, you're not safe. You are not safe. We saw it with Oklahoma, Alabama. We've seen it with Notre Dame, Northern Illinois. We've seen it with Michigan, Ohio State. We've seen it all across the board with tons of teams. You cannot be comfortable, even though you are a major favorite. You could lose. It's been a crazy year. And hopefully it will be a crazy playoff. And I'm sure definitely Will is hoping if Notre Dame Bama play that his Fighting Irish come out on top. It would be big for their program. Big for your program. Because
especially with all the crappy recruiting news going on this year.
And also, I think that the portal should not be open now. I've said that as well. I think you probably agree too. But why is the portal open? We're not even done with football. Like you've got Army Navy still, you've got the Conference Championship, all that kind of stuff still down the pike. But we've already got the portal, and people are focused on that. How can you keep all of it in your head? Like all I've seen is like Miller Moss in the portal, and that's about it. Like I've seen a little bit of news, but like my mind is not focused on that. I'm focused on the playoff and the Conference Championships, but everybody's already on the portal. Now I get if your team sucks. And like you don't have a bowl game or whatever, like, and you're already looking at the portal. But how can you be looking at the portal right now? It just kills me.
How are there already crystal balls for the people that are in the portal? Holy crap!
Yeah,
I was just trying to bring it up.
It sounds familiar, man. Like Riley Leonard, right? Riley Leonard was at Duke. Oh, he's already crystal balled to Notre Dame even before he entered the portal. Even before he entered the portal, that was some messed up stuff right there. So we got 2.0 version of that. Already, people.
I didn't feel like it was this early though. Riley's portal was this early, man.
It just kills me. I mean, I just remember that situation, but I'm like, yeah, how, really? Like you're in the portal, you just announced, but there's already crystal balls. That checks out.
But anyways, let's check out the game, actual football games, not the portal.
Yes, like that's what we're here to do is talk about football games, but like there's so much else to talk about.
Before we talk about the calamity that was the good old-fashioned hate, Memphis beating Tulane. I did not see this coming after Navy blew out Memphis. I didn't think Memphis was going to have a chance to beat Tulane, but hey, man, like there is so much parity going on in college football. You can't trust the transitive property this season. As Memphis.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like we both picked Tulane. I thought about picking Memphis because Seth Hennigan's good. I mean, he's a good quarterback, and they have a good team. But like you said, a couple bad performances by Memphis. But this season, I mean, really, how can you pick these games? Like, I've gotten some games just completely wrong this year. Like no one would have ever thought some of these games. I mean, like even like a Louisville Stanford, like these type of results have happened all season. All these type of upsets. And this isn't even a big upset. But still, I mean, Tulane was ranked. And, you know, at home, they should win. But Memphis played better than them in this given game. And, I mean, it was a pretty fun game to watch overall. But, yeah, I mean, big win for Memphis. I mean, they're just a very consistent program. Kind of like how App State was forever until this season.
I agree. And then you have to talk about Georgia Tech, Georgia. There was the ref show. There's Brent Key. Brent Key's decision making I also thought was spotty. There were some egregious calls by the refs. This game was just a whole dumpster fire.
I mean, a game like this, man, referees should be getting they should be losing some of their paychecks.
And they were ACC refs too, man. I don't understand.
That's the thing. You think they'd be helping Tech? No, it was bad.
I've seen these guys do a crappy job on Notre Dame games too, man.
All I gotta say is that I never like saying that a game, is being tilted or whatever, compromised or even rigged, as a lot of people like using that word. I try to stay away from it. But man, it's really hard when you watch a game like this to not think that, really, because that Haynes King play. Take out all the other plays that could have been. There were tons of holds Georgia got away. I was watching, and people were doing clips of this junk on Twitter, showing replays. It kind of reminds me of the Michigan-Washington championship game. Michigan, only difference with that game is that Michigan was better than Washington, and Michigan probably would have won anyway. But there was a lot of bad calls in that game. That tilted in Michigan's favor. Absolutely. Washington got screwed over a ton of times in that game. The difference with this game is that all it would have taken was one of those calls to go the other way, not 15. Or like in the Michigan-Washington game, if you reverse 15 bad calls, and I really don't even think there were that many. I would say probably in that game there was 5 to 7 really bad calls. This game, it really felt like there was about 15 bad calls, blatantly obvious calls that the refs missed. And the most obvious one was the Haynes King targeting. They didn't call that targeting. And if they call that, Georgia Tech wins the game. That one play, Georgia Tech wins. And it's just irritating because it just feels like you don't want to say it is, but you want Georgia in so bad because they're a moneymaker, they're a machine. People are going to watch them, eyeballs, whatever. You prefer them over SMU or some of these other teams. It just feels like that, man. And I don't like saying it. I hope that wasn't the case for why the refereeing was so bad. Maybe that the refs were just trash and they suck and they missed calls. And I hope that's the case, but it just didn't feel that way, man. I'm sorry, but if you're a Georgia fan and you're happy your team won, you can be happy your team won. I'm never going to tell you not to be happy your team won. You should be happy, but if you don't at least admit that there were about 1 billion bad calls in that game, and yet Georgia was very fortunate to get all those calls, then you're not a good college football fan. All you care about is your team. You don't care about the sanctity of the sport because I'm telling you, man, it doesn't matter who you are. You could be a Buckeye fan, a Roll Tide fan, Tar Heel fan, no matter who you are. Everybody that watched that game with an unbiased lens saw how jacked up that game was. Georgia Tech played better and they should have won, and it's sad that feels like the refs pulled it out from under them.
I'll say this, man. I didn't know why Georgia Tech they changed their defense to the prevent defense at the end.
That irritated me too, Will. I will say it's the only knock on Georgia Tech. That prevent defense, I was mad watching the game. I'm like, why? You've played great all game on defense. You have hung with them all game. You've outplayed them. You've prevented Carson Beck from doing anything. And then you start playing prevent defense. But still, even with that being said, if they call that targeting on the Haynes King play, him running and he got smacked right in the head by that Dan Jackson or whatever his name was for Georgia, then they win. And I don't know how you don't call that. I really don't. Everything was there. He lowered his head. You saw Haynes King's head whip back. That's targeting. But, Georgia fans said he hit him in the chest. No, he didn't. If he hit him in the chest, his head wouldn't have whipped back. It's just bad. It's just really bad. And, I think that, in my opinion, no matter how much of a fan of a team I am, what Bama, Indiana, doesn't matter, I would admit that. I don't know about you, Will, but I would admit that was a bad call. But Georgia fans online, a lot of them would not admit that was wrong. I don't know how you can do that, honestly. I would. If that was Alabama and Georgia Tech and that happened, I'd have been like, man, we I don't know why that the refs didn't call target on that play and it benefited us. It shouldn't have happened. I would admit that. I would. But I don't know. I guess I'm different. I don't know. It was a terrible game. It was a great game to watch. It was fun, but irritates me, man. This is the only game that irritated me. Not even the fights. Like, people are mad at Michigan, Ohio State, and the fighting and all that. I don't care about that. There's two teams that hate each other and whatever. This game frustrated me. This game frustrated me actively, and I feel bad for Georgia Tech because they played a great, great game. Georgia does not deserve to be in. I mean, they've had 3 or 4 games now where they've looked like trash. People say, oh, IU, oh, the Michigan game, the Ohio State game. Georgia's had the Kentucky game, the Mississippi State game, the Ole Miss game, the Alabama first half, this game. I mean, all these games. They have looked bad. They're not a playoff team. They're not that good to me. They have talent, but they have been horrible this year for Kirby standards. They don't belong in the playoff. And sadly enough, they lose to Texas. They're going to get in anyway. They're in, and it's trash. It's trash. I think it's garbage. Georgia should not be in the playoff, but I'm not the one that runs it, so.
Still a great season for Georgia Tech, man. I mean, they improved on their 6-6 record, and they also knocked off Miami.
For sure. I mean, Georgia Tech, the one thing that Brent Key has done a great job of in his tenure is being able to beat ranked teams. They were saying that he's won like 6 or 7, I think 6 games against ranked teams. That's really good, especially when in every one of those games you were a pretty hefty underdog. So good for him.
And like if Haynes King was healthy most of the season, they might be in the ACC championship. I mean,
yeah, I agree 100%. Absolutely. I mean, he missed a lot of games. I don't know how many he missed, but I know in a few of their losses he did not play. So, yeah.
Well, let's shout out the audience here. We got Trojan Blade here. Appreciate you coming on, Gabe. We got Jackson on here. And we have B saying your IQ's higher than fans that say the IQ.
Thank you, letter B. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And we have Gixer Squid here. What's up, Gixer?
Thanks for being here, everybody. Gonna have a fun show on tap. Lots to talk about.
Yeah.
You're gonna see more smiles from me than frowns. Just had to get the Georgia thing out of my system.
We have Boise State beating up on the Beavers. Shout out to Ashton Genty making another 200-plus yard season.
Yeah, I mean, Boise State,
200-plus
if they win the Mountain West Championship game, you know, they're in, and I think they're solid. I'm glad to see Boise State, you know, playing a lot closer to their 2010 self versus, you know, the last few years where they've been kind of mid for their standards. But I will say at the same time, Boise State is not a very great team. They're a good team, but they're not a great team at all. Not even close. Genty carries that thing, and they've had a lot of bad games this year. People keep propping up that Oregon game. That was week 2. That was week 2 of the season. They would not do that now unless Oregon had a Wisconsin-like game. I can't say. Every team's had bad games, but on most nights, Oregon would destroy Boise. Boise barely beat Wyoming. I mean, that was a bad game. They don't have the best defense in the world. It's not terrible. Their quarterback's not great either. It's just Genty. But they're probably going to get – they should be in as long as they win the Mountain West Championship game. And, I mean, like I said, I like Boise, but Indiana's better than Boise. Now, could Boise beat Indiana? Yes, they could. But any team can beat a team this year, it seems. You know, as long as you have a pulse. We've seen even, like, Purdue almost beat Illinois, even though Purdue's trash. Like, we've seen this all year. But, yeah, Indiana to me is better than Boise because Indiana's got a complete team. Boise does not. They got a running back. I think they got one good defender that might get drafted too. But, like, other than that, they're not a complete team. But, real quick, do you like Genty or Travis Hunter?
I would vote for Genty, but I think Hunter will win.
I want Genty to win because, to me, he's carrying his team more than Hunter is for Colorado. Like, Travis Hunter is, along with Shadur, is why they're winning. Whereas with Boise, if you take Genty off, they suck. I mean, they're horrible. So I would go with Genty. I mean, the thing is like the last few running backs that won the Heisman have way worse stats than Genty. Now I understand Genty has played worse teams. I understand that. But to me, he's been.
But if he was on a better team, then he would be having a better offensive line.
Yes, I agree with that too. I would give it to him. I would, but Hunter's going to win it. And I understand it because he's a unicorn type player. I don't know if that's the right word, but, you know, just a rare guy playing on both sides. You don't see that. It's cool. And all the quarterbacks this year have been kind of I mean, there's been some decent ones, but none of them really stood out. I still think if Curtis Rourke did not miss a game and a half and had done better against Ohio State, would have had a chance because his stats, honestly, he's been better than Dylan Gabriel. But guess who got all Big Ten first team? Gabriel. Rourke got second team. Rourke has more touchdowns and less
Gabriel
games,
had a
less
better
picks.
game against Ohio State. I think that was what one.
Okay, but Gabriel's got a better football team around him. And guess what? He was at home. Wow. So, no, I don't care. To me, I would give Rourke first team. He's been better in every category. I get it, though, but I don't agree.
We have Gixer saying, do you find it funny that teams that recently joined new conferences are ranked higher? Like Texas, Oregon, Arizona
well, I mean,
State,
Oregon's undefeated.
SMU.
So they're the only undefeated team. They have to be number one. And Texas, I mean, the brand Texas just holds so much freaking weight, right? I mean, it's Texas. I mean, even if they were in the Big 12 still, they'd probably be ranked really high, even with one loss. Not as high as they are right now. I mean, I get your point, though. But I don't think that's a conspiracy, though. Or I'm not saying that you're saying it is. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Will?
I think it's funny that SMU can win the ACC in their first season when this is Miami's 21st season. They haven't won the ACC.
That's how bad Miami is. That's a Miami problem. I mean, any team in the ACC, you put Indiana in the ACC the last 10 years, and they're going 8-4, 9-3 every year with Tom Allen. I don't care. The ACC is not good. Like, it's not good. North Carolina with Mac Brown should have been going 10-2 every year. Literally 10-2 every year. Why do they not go 10-2 every year? Because they didn't have a defense. They had a quarterback. They didn't have a defense. So Miami is just bad. And they were never a playoff team. Honestly, when they went down to Syracuse, that was hilarious. Like, I got nothing against Miami. Like, people think I loathe Miami now. I don't loathe Miami. They just aren't good. They're overrated. That's the problem. Like, if you admit that they're overrated, it doesn't like you, even as a Miami fans know their team's overrated. Like, even Miami fans, when they lose, they expect this every year. When you get to the point where you don't expect it, you don't expect to lose a game like they did to Georgia Tech or Syracuse, then you're good. Like Alabama, when Alabama goes down, it's a surprise because Alabama doesn't. But when Miami does it, it's like, oh, they did it again. That's the way I feel with Indiana basketball and Mike Woodson. Every single year they choke. They lose badly. You know, I mean, so that's the thing. For Miami, they got to get to a point where this isn't a surprise anymore. They do this every year. So that's why they're overrated. It's not that people hate them. It's just facts. They're not that good.
They have a loud fan base, too. That doesn't help.
I get it. I mean, you have a right to be a loud fan base, but you still can also admit at the same time that your team just isn't good.
I mean, there's some changes. I think it was decent. There were some changes I would make, but...
Do you think Indiana should be ranked ahead of SMU? I think yes.
It's close. It's close.
I would say yes. But, again, Indiana's in the Big Ten. They're in the ACC. It's you know... I think the only in SMU's only loss, though, isn't it, to BYU?
BYU before they put Kevin Jennings in when they almost came back. Preston Stone was still the starter for the most of that game.
So I get it. I mean, I don't know. It's close. I would prefer Indiana to play Penn State or Notre Dame or Tennessee than Georgia. I don't want Georgia. No, I don't want Georgia. It's not that I don't think Indiana could beat Georgia on a good day. I just don't think they're going to beat Georgia. I mean, we just saw with Georgia Tech, right? I don't want to see that again. Okay, I don't want to see. I don't want to see half of Indiana's team getting their heads just knocked on the ground because Georgia's allowed to hit as hard as they want and get away with it. I don't want to see it. I just don't. I don't want to see it. I would prefer them to play Notre Dame or Penn State because, I mean, Penn State's very beatable. Could they win? And Happy Valley, it's going to be hard. I prefer IU to play at home, but most likely they're probably not going to get a home game. I mean, they're just not ranking Indiana high enough. They don't respect them enough. So it is what it is.
I don't know. They might still have UNLV ahead of the Big 12 champ if they win. They might. I don't know. They might, but we'll see.
I don't know. That's an interesting argument for sure.
And then... That's a fair question.
If you're a 5 seed, beat 12 seed, you should beat Boise State. Well, I mean, the thing is like I said, Boise State's just a running back. I mean, if your D line is so good that you can shut Genty down, you've got them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got Boise, and when I mean shut Genty down, I mean not allow him to run for 226. You know, let him run for 100 or 90. If you do that, you're going to beat them.
Do you think it's a focus problem for Miami, or do you think they're just not that talented?
I think it's a bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think sometimes their talent's overrated, but I also think that they've had a culture problem for a long time. I mean, it's a culture problem. I mean, it's like Indiana basketball. It's the same thing. I know no one wants to talk about basketball, like let her be St. U basketball. But seriously, though, I mean, when you were good in the past and you had a all-time great coach, and in the case of Miami, they had 2 good coaches. You know what I'm saying? And you're winning games, and you're on the top of the world, whatever. And then you lose that and you can't replace it, then you just keep searching for that. And you just keep grasping at that to get back there. And you keep making bad hires. And it just infiltrates the program. It's just negativity. You know, I mean, that's like if Alabama, if Kalen DeBoer doesn't do well enough and they fire him, and then they hire someone else, and then that person sucks and they fire someone, you're just going down the road to losing. I mean, that's what Auburn went from top of the world in 2010, really close in 2013, to now they've been trash after they
were 8-4 for a while, and then
after Malzahn, they've been trash.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what happens to your program when you can't get it back. You just lose it. And Miami lost it after 2003, and they've not regained it since. Indiana basketball has lost it since 2002, and really 2000. I mean, the Final Four was basically Bob Knight players, but that's just the way it works to me. I think it's just a culture problem. I think they have an administration problem. I think they have the culture problem sucks. I mean, they don't even play in Miami. They play in Coral Gables. So that their home stadium is not even an advantage. I mean, it's just bad. Everything about Miami has just been broken since the 2000s. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, the talent, they got some guys. I mean, they get draft picks every year, but it's not overwhelming enough to compensate or offset the other issues that they have in their program. Mm-hmm. I'm not a Miami University expert, but that's just my opinion.
And then how will the rankings look if the teams were set? I mean, I think it would be like Georgia would probably be in the top 5. What else? I'm not quite sure how.
It's just hard because they'd be playing different schedules.
Yeah.
Oregon was undefeated right now in the Pac-12. They could still be number 1 right now because no one else is, you know. But then
Texas
again,
would probably
Ohio
be undefeated.
State wouldn't have lost to Oregon though because of the fact that, you know, they didn't play, so then they only have the Michigan. I mean, the scenarios would just be completely different because everybody would be playing different teams. Like, you wouldn't have had Georgia play Texas. You know, you see, so Texas could be undefeated. We don't know. Like, that's a great question, but then you'd have to just completely change the schedules. Like, it's completely different. So. And, like, you feel like, well, Texas will be undefeated. Well, here's the thing. Like, Alabama had a loss to Vandy. What if Texas lost to, like, a K-State in the Big 12? Like, they don't have that Georgia loss, but then they lose to a K-State. That could happen. So they'd still have a loss. I don't know. It's almost impossible.
I mean, I think Miami will be 8-4, 7-5 next year. They'll be probably there.
Dude, you're not supposed to drop like Florida State.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just an epic collapse. Epic. I really don't see Miami falling that far. I mean, if they did, then Cristobal's done. Mm-hmm. He's fired. If they go 2-10 next year, he's fired. Mm-hmm. The only reason Norvell's still there is because his buyout.
Mm-hmm. And then Austin defending his ACC. I mean, Austin, that just means they're 6-6. There's a lot of 6-6 teams in the ACC.
Yeah, playing garbage teams in bowls. I mean, like last year when Minnesota played like Bowling Green or Central Michigan or whatever in a bowl game, I don't even remember who it was. It was Central Michigan or something like that in the Detroit Bowl or whatever the Quick Lane Bowl that's played in Detroit, whatever that game is. Okay, Minnesota wins, but who cares? Or like Duke playing Toledo. I don't know. I mean, like, that's not impressive. Like, it just no one cares. I mean, legitimately, and even you know it, Austin. The ACC stinks. It just stinks. And I like the ACC. I live in ACC country. I'm a basketball fanatic, too. I like the ACC, but in football, they suck. And it's never going to get any better either. With the way realignment happens, especially if the ACC does lose its two better teams, it's over. I mean, the conference is going to disintegrate. I mean, you're just gonna have a bunch of teams that aren't worth anything at all. So, I mean, that's just facts. I mean, I'm not. It's not even my opinion. The ACC is not good in football, and they're just not.
And yes, Miami is LSU USC from last year. They are. I don't know if they got a host. Scotty, if they blew out their teams, like they blew out Virginia Tech, they blew out Cal, like that would be one thing.
Then they would have a case. I mean, that's honestly the only reason Indiana's even in the playoff, because they blew out everybody that they played except Michigan and Ohio State, and they still don't want to put Indiana in. Miami could have 4 losses right now. They should have 4 losses right now. And if they were 8-4, nobody would be saying anything. I mean, they're literally 2 points away from being 8-4, or 4, or however many points. They 1-score games, the close Cal and Virginia Tech games. They should be 8-4, legitimately.
And then, I mean, sometimes like Genty, I mean, he might not play the best competition in high school. Where did he go to school? So.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that happens all the time. I mean, like you said, sometimes it's because you play on a
or maybe he just wasn't in good a shape. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes it's because you play on a high school team that doesn't play the big boys, the modern days, whatever, the Chaminades. You don't play like that, or however that one in Florida is pronounced. You don't play stuff like that. So you're going to be ranked lower, or maybe he had an injury. Like, I don't know his history at all. I have no idea. But sometimes guys get hurt one year in high school, and it ruins their rankings. I mean, anything could have been the case. But, yeah, I mean, he's clearly better than that, but he had to prove himself. The thing is, I was one of the first people saying he was good. I remember 2 years ago, I don't know if you remember, Will, but I would call into Mark, and I would be like, guys, Ashton Genty, check him out. Dude's great. And you know what? Nobody watched him. Nobody until this year. Oh my gosh, Genty's unbelievable. I've been saying it for 3 years. So I'm not saying I was the first. I'm sure there was somebody way before me that said it, but I know one of the first, because I'm like, this dude is insane. Just nobody gave him any attention 2 years ago because Boise wasn't great.
And Scotty, like, Bama tried to blow that game, but they won. They won against Georgia.
I mean, honestly, Alabama should not be in the playoff for that Oklahoma game. I mean, they shouldn't be. But guess what? Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Miami, you blew it. That's a you problem. Pardon the pun. I mean, literally, all those teams losing is why Alabama's technically back in the field. There's still a chance Bama misses the playoff. There is. I wouldn't put them in, even as a fan. I mean, we talked about this before, but it is what it is. All those other teams blew their chances. If they had won their games, they'd be in.
Ole Miss, like, I'm like, are they going to lose again? But they did pull away.
This performance cemented that they're not getting in the playoff.
Yeah.
I mean, just not great. I mean, it's a rivalry game, but Mississippi State's bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. And just not that impressive. I mean, it took until the fourth quarter to put it away.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dan Buren to be a decent quarterback for Mississippi State. He's only a freshman. We'll see how.
Will Jeff Lebby get enough time, though? I mean, the thing is, the thing that's funny to me is that last year they fired the Arnett guy, right? They fired the Arnett, Zach Arnett or whatever his name was, and he had a better record than Lebby.
I mean, bro, his teams were so hard to watch, man. Their offense
were hard to watch, but they were 5-7 or something like that. I mean, this team's 2-10. I don't know. I'm just saying, will Lebby get enough time to even live out Van Buren's, career? I don't know. It's hard, man. Somebody's got to lose. The SEC is a gauntlet. Like, even though I get sick and tired of people talking about the SEC and, they deserve to have 6 teams in and nobody else deserves to have any teams in, it gets on my nerves. At the same time, the SEC is a deep league. even teams like Auburn can beat people. Florida has proven to be able to beat people. So Mississippi State, I mean, it's just going to be hard for them to climb the ladder.
Mm-hmm. Oklahoma State's horrible, man. 52 zip.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, had the Arkansas win, and they were okay. But then like every week they got worse.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I mean, besides Florida State, unless I'm missing something else, Oklahoma State's been the most disappointing team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Besides Florida State. I don't think anything beats Florida State. But Oklahoma State was picked to go 8-4, 7-5, 9-3 by most people. Like every year they do the same thing. They're like Iowa. You know, Gundy and Ferentz are basically the same, just different coaches in different leagues. But yeah, bad year. And Gundy figured out, because if he does this again a time or two, he's done. I mean, and this is to Jim R's point with NIL.
I doubt it.
I mean, coaches are already being moved more. You're seeing bigger buyouts where you might have a big buyout team still getting rid of you.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if you're like just hired, they'll move you, but if the coach has been there a while, I doubt they'll get moved.
Yeah, Gundy still got time to fix it, but I'm just saying that he hasn't done himself any favors by this bad of a season either.
Wisconsin and Michigan were also disappointing, man.
Yeah, we picked Wisconsin because A, they usually beat Minnesota, B, they were at home, and C, they needed bowl eligibility. And all those reasonings failed us. Yeah, not good. I mean, all I know is this is just about the most PJ Fleck season you could possibly have. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you literally were one freaking player point away from getting a massive win against Penn State, and you blow it. And like a couple of their other games, they just sucked. But like they were close to being decent.
They blew it against Carolina.
Yeah, the Carolina, like they should actually be like 9-3 or 10-2 right now. They should have been way better than this. But you know what? We'll take it, Minnesota fans will say. 7-5, good old Fleck. So good job for Fleck. He saved his job. Yeah. They lost to Rutgers, North Carolina, Penn State. Should have won them all. And I don't know the rest of their schedule, but I'm just saying, like Minnesota, you talk about a team that could have had a great year and didn't, it's Minnesota. They had a good year for them, but they could have been a whole lot better.
They almost beat Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, literally. And I don't know about some of their wins. I'd have to go back and look. Maybe some of their wins could have been losses, but I'm just saying, like, they actually could have had a great season. Reminiscent to the Tanner Morgan 2019 year with Bateman and all that. Like, they could have been great, but nope. They just settled for 7-5.
Yeah, let's keep rowing the boat. Just keep rowing the boat.
And he's not getting fired. He's safe again. Take Fleck off the hot seat. ECU, man, bad game. They hired their intern coach, and whenever you do that, then you lose. But still, 7-5 is good, I guess. Pretty good for them.
Salter went to the portal from Liberty.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw the Miller Moss move, and I saw Salter. Yeah, I mean, kind of shocking because Chadwell's still there. But maybe he's anticipating Chadwell leaving, or maybe he just wants an opportunity at a bigger school. I don't know.
Stanford, man, that's not a good look for Stanford to lose to your little brother, San Jose State. But.
Still don't know how they beat Louisville. I don't know. Really. I don't know how they did it. I mean, that's embarrassing.
I mean, Nebraska, they made a bowl game, but they're still losing one more game.
Nebraska. But, like, disappointing, though, still.
They were, like, up 10-0, and
5-1, right? 5-1 going into that Indiana game, talking smack, talking trash, got floored. Then had that Ohio State game where they almost won, and then ever since then they sucked. And thank God for them that Wisconsin existed. Yeah, and I'm telling you, I mean, they almost did it again. They almost went 5-7 again. So, yeah, I mean, Iowa. What did I tell you, man? 8-4.
Yeah.
Every year, 8-4. And I want to see Iowa play a hard schedule. I want to see him play a Florida type schedule in the Big Ten. Will they go 8-4? I don't think so. But you know what? It's Iowa, so that you never know.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about Gus going to Florida State to be the offensive coordinator?
Honestly, I think that Gus kind of realizes that
The writing was on the wall. He would have
he's
been
not
fired.
going to win at
Yeah.
UCF. And I know he got that extension, but at the same time, it's like he has another year or two like this, he was done. So he's just like, you know what? Who cares? I'm going to go to Florida State where the pressure's not going to be that bad. I know some people are going to say, yeah, it is. It's going to be high pressure. They saw this. No, it's not. You know why? Because guess what? Anything's better than 2-10.
Yeah.
And if Gus Malzahn and Mike Norvell team up and go 8-4, 9-3 next year, people are going to love Malzahn. And being an OC is not as bad as being a coach. It's not as much stress. And I think for Malzahn, I mean, he already said, like, I like this UCF job better than, the Auburn job because there's less stress. He already said that. So I think for him, it's just he wants a less stressful job. And probably he liked it better when UCF was in the American Conference because the competition was less. I think that's just with him. He doesn't want the stress. So. Yeah, man. Utah, though, bad season. And I still wouldn't be shocked if Whittingham left, but we'll see.
We'll see. Oregon taking care of business. Good job, Ducks.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't slip up in the rivalry game. They just got it done undefeated, so good for them.
Here we go.
Yeah,
a good old Ryan Day special, folks. I'll tell you, this is a good old Ryan Day special. Why couldn't
they do it against Indiana? Why couldn't they do it against Indiana?
Now, Ryan Day was sick of being called like soft and whatnot. So you know what? We're gonna run it down Michigan's throats. We're gonna win it my way. Well, you lost it. You lost it by just trying to ram it down their throat. Because that's the one thing Michigan's still good at. They still have a good defensive line.
That's the thing, Will. What in the world? Michigan has the #1 rated defensive line in college football, according to Pro Football Focus. Indiana has been one of the better rushing attacks this year. 2 running backs with 10 rushing touchdowns or more this season. And you know how many rushing yards they had against Michigan? Like 30. They could not run the ball against Michigan. You can't run the ball against Michigan. That is their strongest position on their entire team. And Ohio State has Emeka Egbuka. They've got Jeremiah Smith, and they've got a couple of running backs, especially Travion Henderson, that can catch the ball out of the backfield. What are you doing? Carnell Tate, yeah. Like, why? What are you doing? It's stupid.
It's his ego, man. Like he's so sick of being called soft that he was like, I'm not gonna let Chip Kelly call the plays because they always interviewed Chip Kelly after every game. They didn't want to get Chip Kelly interviewed because they didn't want to tell him the truth that no, I was calling the plays, not Chip Kelly. And yep, they lost.
My thing is that Ohio State deserves to be clowned. My thing is, Will, is that this game to me right here just proves my point. That Ohio State-Indiana game was a lot closer than the score indicated. I think I'm absolutely correct in that assessment. I do. You can tell me I'm wrong, Will, if you want. Do you think I'm wrong?
I mean, I think Ohio State would have won by maybe slightly less, but I mean, Indiana just didn't look like they're at that level.
Well, I agree. I get that. But I'm just saying, though. I'm just saying that Indiana beat Michigan. Michigan beat Ohio State. I don't do the transitive property. Ohio State's a better football team than Indiana. What I'm saying is that Ohio State is not this much better than Indiana. And those couple of calls that the refs did not call in that game that did assist Ohio State, Indiana would have lost that game. Instead of losing by 23, they would have lost by 1 score. They would have lost by 7. That's what I'm saying. And I mean, Indiana had their own mistakes, like the muff punt and all that trash. Like IU did not play perfect. I'm saying is that game was not as big of a blowout as the score would indicate. That's what I'm saying. And that Ohio State all season long was not this juggernaut that everybody was telling you. They're just so great. They're the best team in America. Oh, well, we almost beat Oregon. You know, we're 1 point worse than the best team in America. Well, now you're 3 points worse than the 7-5 team in the Big Ten that has a crappy quarterback that can't even throw the ball down the freaking field. So way to go, Ohio State. You're just so great. You're just so awesome. That's the point, Will. Indiana's not that far behind the Buckeyes. You got clowned, absolutely clowned, and you deserve to get your field flagged. Absolutely. You deserved it. And I'm telling you, man, I watched the video. Will, on TV. I watched the replay where they showed on the field coverage of the field storm and the flag planting. And like Michigan, a guy for Michigan was like, Ohio State's my what, you know what? Ohio State's my you know what, all that kind of stuff. And then Ohio State guy told the Michigan dude, he's like, well, your season's over. Your season's over. Ours isn't. Your season's over. And it's like, you know what? That's why the brawl happened. This running your mouth is what happened. Running your big fat mouth is why that brawl happened, even more than the flag planting, because they wouldn't shut up. It's like, yeah, you know what, Michigan, Ohio State, you both suck. You're both not that good. That's the problem. It's just cracking me up, man. I mean, it is. We got Joey in the house.
Joey, what's up, Joey?
He says, I need everyone's thoughts on the next coach at West Virginia. Well, that's something we could discuss real quick if you want, Will.
I like that Penn State offensive coordinator, Kotelnicki, man, just because of how well he did at Kansas with that offense in the Big 12. I think WVU will be up there if they have Andy Kotelnicki there calling the plays.
Scotty says he wanted if Chadwell goes to West Virginia. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a hot board. I know people keep saying Jimbo, Nick Saban. Not happening. I'm sorry. It's not happening. I
think there's a chance with Jimbo, but there's not a chance.
But why would you? If I was Jimbo Fisher, I wouldn't be doing it.
Because he loves his alma mater.
I mean, you got $100 million, dude. You got $100 million. You can just sit on the beach for the next 30 years. I mean, unless you really want to scratch that itch. I mean, like, and the biggest thing for me with Jimbo, besides even the alma mater thing, it would be his last chance to get people back on his side where he's not trash. Like Florida State, people are like, you know what? Following Bobby Bowden, he's all right. He wants a title. Great. Goes to A&M, and people have just clowned him ever since Kellen Mond. After Kellen Mond left, he's been clowned.
Elko left around that same time that Mon left, and he didn't have those top defenses to help him out.
True. I agree. Absolutely. But it would be a chance if he goes to West Virginia to be able to regain in the public eye that he's not a garbage coach. But can he do that? I mean, West Virginia's in the Big 12, so it's easier competition. But I don't know. To me, though, I mean, honestly, who cares about public opinion? It'd be like, dude, you got $100 million. Just relax. Just enjoy your life. You ripped off a program. You got all their money. But you know what? Like, I don't even really look at it as Jimbo ripping off a program because A&M ripped themselves off. I mean, that's their own problem. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting, though. Joey says fighting is ridiculous in the football field. The game to start set on the field. Actually, Jimbo's begging for the job. Jimbo's begging for the job. I didn't know that. Did you, Will? That
I haven't been totally locked in on WVU news.
Me neither. I just know Neil Brown got fired, and I tweeted. I said West Virginia did the right thing, and then people are like, "Well, he was a good man. He was a good man." Like, okay, Neil Brown might be a good man. He's not a good coach. Like, do you want a good man or a good coach? It's the same thing with Tom Allen in Indiana. He was a good man, okay? But if you didn't get rid of Tom Allen, then Indiana wouldn't be in the playoff right now. So you got to.
If I was WVU, I would hire a coach soon to try to keep the good players there, because I know the players all wanted Neil Brown to stay, and they were probably.
What do you think about Garrett Green? He was disappointing.
He's so mid.
Need a new QB. I mean, they thought JT Daniels. JT Daniels was Neil Brown's savior. He thought JT Daniels was going to fix it. And you know what happened? He didn't fix anything. And now JT Daniels, like Grayson McCall, is done with football forever. But I don't know, man. West Virginia's just in a weird spot. They're in the conference that don't matter. They're a decent. They got history. They're. I don't know. It's like Louisville.
Well, they didn't win 8 games because of Jimbo. They won 8 games because of Mike Elko's defenses. I mean, credit to Jimbo for getting the money to pay for Elko's contract, but once Elko left, they just fell apart.
The problem is that when you look at coaches, how much is it? Kind of like, you remember that I don't know if you saw the conversation me and Adam had on the Voice of College Football, but he was like, "Well, Cignetti, you're saying it's all Cignetti and Cignetti's great, but what about his coordinator?" I never said it was all Cignetti. Mm-hmm. The thing is that your coordinators matter. Cignetti has these coordinators. He hired them at James Madison. Now he brought them to IU. They're really good. Now Indiana's trying to up their assistant coaching pool money so they can keep them from going to other programs, because those assistants are a big reason Indiana's good too. It's not just Cignetti. It is the assistants. The point is, though, that's why I get mad when so many people think that these coaches are so great. It's an operation, man.
Also, his offense, Jimbo was known for the offense at WVU, and the offense was the part that was holding WVU back.
That's like having
A&M back.
That's like having a grocery store where your manager's good, but then all your assistant managers and your employees stink. As that manager, you got to fire those people, because if you don't fire those people and get better employees, then your place is going to get run into the ground. But see, what's the problem is you fire those crappy employees, and then you even get more crappy employees. And that's kind of what happens with coaching searches. So
Harris Teeter, man. Harris Teeter's good. I mean, it's overpriced, but it's good. Harris Teeter's good.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one right there. I appreciate. We got Noir here. Thanks. That's a good one, man. Well, I mean, Harris Teeter is a good store overall, but the problem is that, I mean, there's a lot of poor managers at a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Crystal. Crystal, right? Will, you've heard the Crystal Burger, like White Castle in the South.
I know what White Castle is, but I don't know what.
You don't know Crystal? Well, it's in the South. It's in the Mid-South. Well, the little sliders. The thing is with Crystal is that I like them, but the problem is that the managers at Crystal suck. And if your managers and your employees stink, your restaurant's going to stink, just like with the grocery store. That's the way I look at a football team. I don't know if Jimbo's a bad coach. I think he's okay. But like you said, to your credit, Will, Mike Elko was a big part of that. He lost Elko.
I felt like Jimbo held back A&M. If Jimbo would have had someone else call his plays, I felt like they could have maybe been better than 8-4.
Absolutely. I mean, they had the players. I
thought Jimbo had the talent that Alabama had, and it just had a worse record.
Yeah. See, absolutely, Joey. 100% my point. Mm-hmm. You nailed it right on the head. Said it better than I could have. When you think about it, a head coach is really just a CEO, the assistant is the heart and soul of the team. Absolutely. I mean, like, okay, you know, you're a Fortune 500 company. You're like FedEx or UPS or Apple or Amazon or whatever, Walmart. You got great CEO, whatever. He's killing it. But then all your employees are just trash. I mean, like I said, the employees are the heart and soul of the thing. And your assistant coaches and the water boy, all that stuff, it plays and helps that team. It's the water boys, I'm really being far-fetched, but you get my point, though. You can't lay it all on the coach. The assistants play a big part, man. And that's why, like with Alabama, it was remarkable with Nick Saban that they were consistently good because of the fact that he lost assistants every year. And then they hired more, and they kept winning. That doesn't normally happen, though. You know, it just doesn't. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, what do you think, too, like with Ryan Day, though? Because, you know, you talk about Ohio State, and you're saying that Ryan Day was stubborn. Well, I thought that's what you
said. Fire Ryan Day, put Urban there, and then keep the rest of the coaching staff. That's what I would do.
I mean, Chip Kelly was supposed to fix the offense, though.
I think Chip did a decent job with the offense, but I don't think Chip was the one that called the plays. I think it was Ryan Day took back control of the play calling.
Well, the thing is, if that's the case, then why hire Chip Kelly at all? You know, like that doesn't make sense. You shouldn't have hired Chip Kelly at all if Ryan Day is going to do the plays.
I mean, I think it was kind of a gift to Chip that Ryan Day gave him the job because Chip Kelly was Ryan Day's mentor and his coach at New Hampshire. I think it was just more of a nice thing to help him.
But what's the point of getting a job if you're not there to do that job? I mean, really, like that doesn't make sense. Like you get.
I think they hired Chip just to try to give Chip his national championship that he never won at Oregon.
That's a really stupid reason, Will. That is a stupid reason. I never thought of it that way. I thought that he legit hired Chip Kelly to fix the offense.
I mean, I think Chip's definitely helped a little bit, but I don't think he's helped that much.
Well, that's dumb on Ryan Day's part, in my opinion. That's dumb. Because obviously he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. If he knew what he was doing, then you wouldn't be running the freaking ball all the time against the best D-line in the country. I mean, when you got Jeremiah Smith and a great receiving core, and I don't get it. Like, Will Howard's not great. Don't get me wrong. He's not great, which I said all freaking year. Yeah. I mean, is there really that big of a difference between Will Howard and Kyle McCord? I think after all this time, the answer is no.
Mark admitted it to me, too. I called Mark Saturday night.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Will. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you, Mark. If you're watching, I love you. You're great. You know, your voice college football. But I told Mark last freaking off season, there is not a big difference between Will Howard and Kyle McCord. Yes, there is. Yes, there is, Jeffrey. Will Howard's so much. No, he's not. He is not. It's like this. It is slim. Really slim. I don't care. I don't freaking
I was
care.
pretty satisfied when I got
Kyle McCord, if he was at Ohio State, would be doing the same. Kyle McCord will be doing the exact same thing. Oh, well, Kyle McCord threw 5 picks at Syracuse. So Syracuse is no good. Like, I don't care. They're basically the same to me. I mean, again, I respect other people's opinions. But the fact that you were able to get Mark to admit that proves that I was right all along, and so were the other people that thought that freaking Kyle McCord and Will Howard were pretty similar. I never said that McCord was better. I said that they're similar, and Will Howard is a little bit better. People were trying to gaslight me into saying that Will Howard was so much better. No, he's not. He is not. That's all. I'm sorry. You finally admitting it, people. Thank you. He's not.
Oh, I might have to bring up that clip again at some point.
It's hilarious. No. Yeah. Appreciate it, Noir. Joey's saying, guys, I wanted to pop in and say howdy. I'm off the bed. You guys have a great night. Don't be surprised when Jimbo's announced as the next head coach of West Virginia. Seriously, love you guys. Well, I hope it happens for you, Joey, especially if you want it to happen. I hope it happens for West Virginia. But definitely appreciate you for being here, Joey. Hope you're doing well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to go talk about the portal later, Scotty. But yeah, I mean, Howard, he did beat TCU, but I mean, that TCU team was not that good. Michigan choked, and then
I just don't care. I don't care. They're similar.
Texas A&M. Did you see? I know Mark was complaining about something in this game. Did you remember?
I don't remember. I do not recall. I did not watch a second of this game, actually. Okay. So I can't say. It just didn't appeal to me. Texas was winning the whole time, so I was like, okay, whatever.
I think, like, Texas, they went for it on 4th down. They could have kicked it a field goal, and then they didn't get the 4th down.
Well, we were both wrong. I thought A&M at home would win, but I mean, Texas hasn't really impressed me this year, but I mean, that is a good win. I mean, Notre Dame did the same thing. Notre Dame gets praised for beating A&M on the road by 10. So I think Texas deserves to get the same praise for beating A&M on the road by 10. Congratulations. I mean, it's a good win. Yeah, and Scotty B saying Texas dominated them more than the score, shows. So congratulations. I still don't think Texas is elite, but they are good.
But there is no elite team this year. So.
No, there isn't. Absolutely not. Not Oregon either. No one is. And I love it.
Maryland a joke.
Yeah, when Maryland was up 7-3.
I still can't believe Maryland beat USC, man.
Indiana fans were like, oh, Indiana's going to make the Big Ten title game. and then Penn State laid the wood on. So it's hilarious that Penn State's in the Big Ten title game instead of Indiana because of record differential. That's the thing. Think about this, Will. Their metric for determining who got in the Big Ten title game was record differential of the teams that they faced instead of
that's
score,
how it works,
right? Instead, if they had gone off score differential, Indiana has outscored.
Well, that's how they've always done it, right? By record.
Yeah, if it was score differential, Indiana because Indiana blew out the teams way more than Penn State did. Even similar matchups. Now this game, no, Maryland did lose more to Penn State than Indiana did, but at the same time, Maryland had nothing to play for in this game. When Indiana played them, they still had a reason to play. But Indiana beat UCLA by a lot more than Penn State did. There was a lot of common opponents that Indiana did better than Penn State, but at the same time, whatever. I actually prefer Penn State to be in the freaking game because if Indiana was and they lost, they try to make them not be in. So whatever. It is what it is. I'm just saying that I think it's funny that they went with the record and that's how Penn State's in. So
Notre Dame, the first team to beat USC by more than 7 points this season. Wasn't a perfect.
I don't even know what that even means.
It was the first team by Notre Dame will beat USC by more than any team that.
Yeah, like I don't even know what that's even says about USC or Notre Dame or anything. Like, wow, like Notre Dame beat USC by more than one score, better than anyone else did. But at the same time, it's like USC couldn't close a game. They couldn't freaking close a game. All their they should have beat Penn State. I mean, realistically, you want to talk about like Minnesota, how we said Minnesota should have a better record. So should USC. USC should have beat Michigan, blew it. Should have beat Penn State, blew it. Should have beat Maryland, blew it. That's already 9-3. What else? Washington blew it, 10-2.
What was their other loss?
I know that they lost this game. I can't remember.
Did we talk about the Michigan?
Yeah, Michigan, yeah. All those close losses. Yeah, the four really, really bad ones, Michigan, Maryland, Washington, Penn State. All those four were the big four. I can't remember the other one. Doesn't matter.
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the other one. They could have been 11-1. I mean, I don't care. I mean, USC sucked, but at the same time, I'm just saying, like, their biggest problem wasn't the fact that their team was just complete trash. It was the fact that they could not close out games. And some teams have that problem. I mean, that has happened before. There are some, like Nebraska, when they went 3-9, couldn't win a game. All their games were close. They just couldn't win. Every game they choked. They did something wrong. And USC kind of had that similar effect. I mean, it's just insane that they blew all those games. But, I mean, congratulations to Notre Dame. I mean, they didn't choke. I still think if Notre Dame had a loss, they still could have sneaked in because of all the chaos. Maybe. They didn't. I don't think they had to win this game. I don't think. But the fact that they won, they're in. It's all good. So congratulations. But yeah, USC just could not figure out ways to win. And I do think Maava, or however you pronounce his last name, they did look a little better with him than Moss. I don't know what that speaks to Riley though. Because I think Miller Moss is fine.
I feel like Riley needs a 5-star quarterback to be great. I mean, he got lucky with Baker, but the rest of them were all like 5-star guys. Well,
the thing is Mayaba's not a 5-star guy. So what are they going to do? Go with him, or are they going to go portal?
I think he'll be there, and then he might transfer out in the spring.
Because they lost Julian Lewis. I mean, they don't have anything, right? I mean, they don't have any other recruits.
They're going to get a guy from they have Longstreet, but he's not as college ready as Lewis. So they're probably going to get a guy from the portal to compete with Mayava.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, that's just not really a way to build your program, though, when you're having to rotate all these different guys and you're constantly having to figure out who your QB is. I mean, I am a little worried about IU this year, honestly, because you
don't trust Cherry?
Cherry could be it. I mean, he could. I mean, he's behind Taven Jackson right now. But I mean, if Cherry doesn't get better, then he's going to have to get a portal guy, and it might not hit like Rourke did. I mean, it's a gamble when you're having to rely on the portal every year. You want to be able to build that with recruiting. You don't want to have to rely on the portal every year. So we'll see. Cherry could be good. He could be good, but we haven't seen him at all, like at all. So we'll see.
But anyways, Notre Dame marches on. Jeremiah Love was awesome. Riley was awesome, even though like he shouldn't have tried to throw the ball deep. He tried to do it again, and it was an interception, which made me mad. Just throw it. Nothing more than 25 yards.
Riley Leonard is not an NFL quarterback, man. I'm sorry.
He could be a running back.
Yeah, he could be Taysom Hill.
Yeah, Taysom Hill.
That's not a quarterback. That's like a fullback, halfback, QB mashup thing. What do you call that? Yeah. I mean, Riley Leonard is not a quarterback. He's not a guy that can sit back in the pocket and drop dimes down the field. Like Curtis Rourke can do that. If he's given a pocket, he can throw all over the field. Riley Leonard cannot do that. So I don't think he's an NFL QB. Maybe make him like Taysom Hill, then it could work.
Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating that Christian Gray kept getting beat by Lemon. That's how they were scoring got most of their yards through Lemon. But Mayava did make a mistake, and then Christian Gray took it back for a pick six, and then they forced it. And they threw it to Xavier Watts' side, probably the best safety in the country. I mean, maybe Caleb Downs is definitely in that conversation too, and Xavier took it back. Miami, this is a Mario Cristobal special, man. Why do they kick the field goal and not go for it? Mario Cristobal special threw away their season.
I love how people said that if Miami lost, they'd still get in. Ha ha ha! Yeah, that's happening. Notre Dame could have lost to USC and maybe got in, but difference is Notre Dame had blowout wins. Miami, those little squeak fests. Yeah, the thing is, we're seeing that the committee values blowing your teams out. That's what they're doing it in basketball too. Have you seen with the net, where if you blow your teams out, that's why I used net sucked last year because Indiana barely beat teams. Thankfully, this year they're blowing out their non-con a little bit better, so Indiana might get in the tournament this year in basketball. But again, off basketball, I'm just saying that since Miami barely beat a lot of teams this year, that made them look bad. It really did. I mean, if they win this game, they're in the playoff. To me, I think honestly, I don't know if you agree, but I think if Miami wins this game and then loses in the title game, I think they might have been in. I think they might have still got in, even though I would have said leave them out on the curbside. But they probably still would have gotten in, even though I would have disagreed. But now they're done. They are done. They're history. So, yeah, I mean, Cam Ward, I mean, good year, but I don't know, man. It was just too much of a one-trick pony. One guy. It just feels like a Genty thing all over again. I mean, it's Cam Ward and then not a lot else. I mean, Restrepo's good. I mean, I'm not saying I'm just.
Restrepo has the most punchable phase of college football, man. Like, look.
Well, I'm not talking about his face. I'm talking about his game. And he's good, but their D sucks. And that's why people are like, well, Miami's better than Indiana. They're way better. No. Indiana's got a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. Does Miami have that? They got a top 10 offense, but their defense is trash. Trash, dude. So, yeah, but that's hilarious on Restrepo. Punch Oh my gosh! I'm telling you that this result did make me smile though with Miami. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Miami fans. Like I don't hate you.
Sorry, Coop.
I don't like for Coop. I don't hate his
Coop. Coop was so mad.
Oh my god, man, Coop! I was like, I did feel bad.
I was watching his walking and venting video, man. It was funny.
I did feel bad for him on that, but at the same time, Miami just was not a playoff team in my book, and they got exposed. So. Defense wins championships. Offense gets you there, but at the end of the day, defense wins championships. You have to have a defense, and they did not. So you know what, crystal ball? If you want your crystal ball to project national championship ever in your life, get a defense. I would highly recommend it.
Their defense was better last year, which was weird.
It was. Their defense this year is bad, man. It was terrible. Oh man.
I was rooting for Vandy in this game, man, but Tennessee did win.
Yeah, I kind of was too, even though I had a Tennessee shirt on last week. We were talking about the game, but I still was kind of hoping for a Vandy upset. But I mean, the thing is, like Tennessee, I don't know what to think of them, man. I just think they're okay. I mean, they have talent, they got some good players, but I don't know what really happened to their offense. Now, it was better in this game. It was better in this game, but there were a lot of games this year, like even that Alabama game where I'm like, where's Nico? Where's this offensive firepower that we've been talking about? Like, where is it? Really, to me, ever since that first half against Oklahoma, their offense did not look the same, and all season long, it just didn't really punch. It was all right in this game, but if they're going to win a playoff game, they're going to have a better offense.
SMU took care of Cal. Good job, SMU.
Yeah, I mean that was ugly. Cal making a bowl, so good for Wilcox. Yes, Indiana just laying the wood, bloodbath, destruction, unbelievable. Like, I mean, I wasn't even nervous about this game. I wasn't, because Purdue's bad. But I was like, you know what? Purdue, the Illinois game, and Indiana coming off that loss might be a little. This right here shows you. You beat down Curt Cignetti. He comes back punching, baby. 66-0. Did you see the fake punt? I don't know if you saw the fake punt.
Oh, Notre Dame had a fake punt, too. Yeah.
IU was up 38-0, Will, in the third
We both
quarter.
have fake punts.
Cignetti faked the punt. He was going for style points, baby. He was going for style points. Biggest win in the Old Oaken Bucket game ever for IU, adding to another list of records they've had all season. So, and Purdue fired her coach, which I'm sad about. Yeah. Why couldn't they keep Walters for one more year? Come on.
He's so bad.
Dude, he was like, what? On the sidelines. He had no idea. When they did that fake punt, he didn't even see it coming, man. All I know is that hopefully whoever Purdue hires next is not as good as Jeff Brohm. I mean, Indiana needs to.
Jeffrey, who threw the fake punt pass? Was it Taven Jackson? Who threw it?
No, they ran it.
Oh, they ran it.
They didn't even throw it. They ran it. They used their defensive linemen. And you want to know what's so funny? You're not even going to believe this, but you're not even going to believe this. That one run, it was an 18-yard run on the fake punt by the defensive lineman. And Indiana ran for more yards on that play than Purdue did the whole game.
Gosh, Purdue.
And guess what? Purdue had 67 total yards of offense in this game. Indiana almost outscored Purdue with the points over. Not almost outscored. Indiana's points were almost over Purdue's yards. I can't even say it. It's so funny. Purdue was bad, Will. They got murdered. 67 yards, and Indiana had 66 points. Unbelievable. I'm telling you, this game had me smiling all game, man. I was smiling from ear to ear. It was just great. Like, think about it. Indiana hadn't beaten Purdue in 5 years, and in their first win, this. I mean, man, that Cignetti worthy of that contract extension. My goodness.
Guess who threw the fake punt pass for Notre Dame?
Was it a running back?
No.
I didn't watch the game, so. Was it a defensive guy?
He was on the team. Then he went to another team, and then he came back.
Whoa! You're not talking about no. Who is it?
Buckner.
Wait. Wait a minute. That's who I was thinking. I was like, but he's lacrosse.
Well, he's a walk-on player for the football team. Too. They have him.
I did not know about.
They have him as like the practice squad quarterback. That the
starting. Why didn't I know about this?
I
didn't know
that the starting defense can. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I almost said Buckner, but I was like, wait a minute, lacrosse. That's why I didn't say it. I was like, no, but he's on the practice squad. So you're able to elevate him in the game?
I think he's still a rostered player. He just never got on the field until this game.
I love it.
Yeah.
Good job, Freeman. Good job.
I couldn't
Freeman.
believe USC didn't notice him there. That was funny. They just didn't notice him.
Tyler Buckner, man,
Yeah.
the most forgettable player ever. I mean, dude, I still can't believe he came in for Alabama in that South Florida game. He sucked, man. He sucked. That's all I can say. He sucked. But good job for
He
making
looked
it.
so happy. I was happy for him, man. He looked so happy when it worked, like when they showed him.
I got nothing against the guy at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's great. I just think it's hilarious.
Clemson, man. Cade Klubnik, man. He had it at the end, and then he threw in the pick. Oh, Klubnik.
We picked it.
Yeah.
We picked it. And I thought there was a chance that South Carolina would be ranked ahead of Alabama. Head-to-head, I guess. The thing is honestly, South Carolina's looked better.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
If the refs didn't screw him against LSU on that roughing the passer.
Yeah, that was bogus, honestly.
Yeah. They would be in.
And I mean, they're a far cry from the team that lost to Ole Miss early in the year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, they're probably not going to get in, but I mean, to be honest, I mean, they look more worthy than Bama does, but Bama's going to get in over them if they do.
Yeah. Shout out to Steve Urkel, the North Sellers, man. He's good.
Steve Urkel. One of the most iconic TV characters of all time, man. So iconic. Yeah, Shane Beamer, man, definitely saved his job. What a year for them. I never would expect them to be this good.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the Iron Bowl for a sec? I'll be back.
Yeah, absolutely. This game for me, I mean, it just kind of showcases what Alabama's been all year. Like Jalen Milroe, when he's able to run the ball. When he's able to run the ball and have success with it, then Alabama wins. I mean, 3 rushing touchdowns for Jalen Milroe. When he's not able to run, or just either he can't run because the defense shuts it down, or Alabama won't use him in the running game, Alabama does not do well. Because against Oklahoma, Milroe didn't run at all. And Alabama, I thought the defense was all right. I really haven't thought the defense has been the major problem this year. I mean, the defense hasn't been as good as it was in the Nick Saban era, obviously, but nothing's as good as it was in the Nick Saban era. But the major issue for me is that Alabama, their passing game is just not impressive. It's underwhelming. And I'm just wondering if Alabama in the college football playoff, if they still do get in, which as of now, they are projected to get in. We'll see what happens in conference championship week, whether Alabama stays in the CFP projection and makes the playoff. But that's the biggest thing for me with Bama is that when Jalen Milroe is able to run the ball, they win. I mean, 3 rushing touchdowns. He did it against LSU. He did it against Auburn last week or a couple days ago, whatever. The problem is when Alabama cannot run with Milroe and he has to pass like against Oklahoma, then they lose. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like if Notre Dame could shut down Milroe, if they play Notre Dame, if Notre Dame can shut down Milroe's ability to run, then Alabama probably won't win. I agree. Make Alabama throw the ball. I mean, that's basically been the problem all season for Alabama is when Milroe is not able to have success in the run game, they don't win. So good game for Bama, but it definitely did not really showcase any improvements in their flaws.
Arizona State with the planning the trident.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, that was a big issue this week. College football. I mean, Arizona, I knew they were going to be worse when Fish left. I knew they were going to be worse, but I did not think they were going to be 4-8. Not a good year. And Arizona State, I mean, like I said, I think most people would have expected that most people would have thought it was more likely that these records were reversed on these two teams versus how it actually ended up. Like more people, if you had said between Arizona State and Arizona, who's 10-2 and who's 4-8, more people would have said, "Oh, Arizona's 10-2 and Arizona State's 4-8." That's what they would have said. So kudos to Dillingham. I'm still wondering if he leaves. A lot of people, seem to think he's going to stay, and you think he's going to stay too because alma mater. So hopefully he does for Arizona State's sake because he's done well there. And I mean, it's nice to see them doing good. But yeah, I mean, this is just an ugly game. Arizona, just bad season.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Arizona definitely looked like they're going to be a bottom feeder for a while in the Big 12, unfortunately. And ASU Dillingham, we'll see how long he stays there. We'll see.
Hopefully a while. I mean, if the longer he stays, the better chance they're going to have of building a long-term success. Same with Cignetti in Indiana. You just can't have 1 or 2 good years and then they leave, and then all that you built up just crumbles. Kind of like Fish at Arizona.
Iowa State in their first 10-win season. Shout out to Iowa
Think
State.
about this, Will. There were 3 teams left in college football that had never had a 10-win season. Indiana, Iowa State, and Vanderbilt. 2 of those teams got their first ever 10-win season this year. Think about it.
I mean, Iowa State's like, they're the worst program, so.
Indiana has the losingest record in the Power 4, though.
Well, Indiana's like, they've made it to Rose Bowls. Like, Iowa State before.
True.
What's his face? The coach got
Campbell.
there. Campbell.
It's true. Mm-hmm. I just think it's crazy that you had 3 remaining teams never had a 10-win season, and 2 of them achieved it in the same year. I mean, Iowa State's been doing better recently, and so had Indiana, but Indiana had fallen off so hard, man. I mean, it just was not expected. I know the schedule. People keep talking about I don't care about the schedule. It's still impressive. It's still impressive. Indiana 11-1. They've never had a 10-win season, and they won 11 games. They might win 12 games if they can win their next one, which maybe not, but still, it's so impressive. So happy for Iowa State and Indiana, 2 perennial bottom feeders of football. And also very disappointing for Kansas State after the preseason hype too. Not a bad year, but a little underwhelming.
BYU getting to 10 wins. They got into it after the game too.
So much fighting, man. Just so much fighting last week. He thought you would be watching wrestling instead.
Missouri went 9-3. Good job, Missouri, for going 9-3.
Missouri had one of the most disappointing 9-3 seasons.
If they would have beaten South Carolina, man, they would have been a playoff team. They blew that game at the end.
Think about it. I mean, they had a disappointing year because they were expected to win a lot of games. And, I mean, they did win a lot of games. But just one less than what would have been the magic number, like you said, for them to probably be a playoff team. I mean, Eli Drinkwitz has still done a really good job there compared to where they were. But, also, you got to realize, too, kind of like we were talking about another team earlier with the injuries. Haynes King, injuries, right? Like, he missed some games. Well, so did Brady Cook. I mean, Alabama is not blanking Missouri if Brady Cook's in.
No.
It's not happening.
It wasn't a good game.
I'm telling you, it's not happening. Alabama.
I still can't believe Alabama lost to the team, lost to Oklahoma, who lost to Missouri with Drew Pine.
Yeah. That's football for you. It's football. I mean, Alabama should have blown out Oklahoma. They play like trash in that game, but that's not Alabama all the time, just in that game. But yeah, I mean, if Brady Cook is playing against Bama, that's a game. I don't know what the score would have been. I don't know how Alabama played well in that game, but Drew Pine sucks, like legitimately sucks. He's terrible. And Drew Pine, probably a nice guy. I got nothing against you, man. But at football, you're not great. You know, I'm like that would be like me being out there playing football. Like if I was at quarterback,
I don't think Drew. Give Drew a little credit.
Drew Pine would be better than me because he's taller, but I mean, I would get destroyed. I have no shot. I'm just like
Drew Pine. I don't know if you're that much taller. How tall is Drew Pine? He's small for a quarterback.
How tall is he? I thought he's not 6 foot. Is he 6 foot?
He's 5'11".
Okay, I'm 5'10". I'm basically Drew Pine's height. Well, Drew Pine weighs more than me. But, I mean, the thing is that, I mean, like, I would get destroyed out there. I would suck. That's why I'm not a quarterback in football. I mean, I got nothing against Drew Pine, but, I mean, literally, I've never seen a quarterback just suck as hard as that guy. Like at a level of football where he's playing on good teams, like Notre Dame and Missouri. I don't get it. Like, he's not good. Because he's literally horrible. But, yeah, Brady Cook in, Missouri probably does better. So, sad. Sad their season fell short because of some injuries. And they wasn't just Cook. They had a lot of injuries. Like, when they played Bama, they had a ton of injuries. It wasn't just Brady Cook. They had, like, 10 guys out. So, I mean, there's just no way they're getting drubbed like that healthy. Yeah, I've said it all year, Jim. Like Drew Pine needed to be on the pine. Like absolutely. All season. It's funny. Yeah, it's hilarious. Like Scotty V said, I'm 5'11", 155. Yeah, I mean, I'm like 5'10", and I'm almost five. Like I'm shorter than 5'11". I'm close to that, but like I'm probably like 70 pounds less than what a football quarterback could be. You know, like most, like the thinnest you could be is like 190. You know, legitimately like take hits, and I'm like 60, 70 pounds below that. So I mean, like it's just not happening. How tall are you, Will?
I'm 6'3", almost 6'4". Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're taller. I knew you were taller than me, but yeah, I didn't know by how much. Yeah. Thing is that where, you know, I can go on some days where I'm literally taller than everybody I see. And then there are other days that you just see like 5 or 6 people are like 6'2", 6'3", and you're like, dang. You just feel short, but I'm not short. Like most people that I see are a lot shorter, but it's hilarious. Like back to football, sorry.
Illinois winning.
Illinois had a good year, but
good year for Illinois.
But I mean that Purdue game, I can't get that out of my head. That Purdue game.
Good year though. Yeah, Louisville beating. Good solid year for Louisville.
Yeah, Kentucky, man. Mark Stoops, disappointment. His job security's fine for now, but man, bad season. Yeah. And Louisville, all you had to do is beat Stanford. And everybody be talking about how, oh man, Louisville was a couple points away from being 11-1, 12-0, really, really good team, because their other losses were all close. The Miami loss, the SMU loss, and they had another loss. Can't remember. But yeah, their 3 other losses were to good teams, overall good teams. But that freaking at Stanford game, man, like, I don't know. So good season for Louisville overall, but that one game just kind of deflated them.
Good season for UConn.
Like Scotty said,
yeah,
8-4. Like you're 7-4 now, 8-4, and you barely beat UMass. Though.
I mean, that's
UMass sucks.
Okay. I follow a lot of UMass people because they're in the A10. Well, they're going to.
I was about to say that has to be the only reason.
And UMass people, guess who they want to be their next coach? They're like, please come to UMass.
Give me a hint.
Recently fired.
This year?
Yeah.
Neil Brown?
They want Neil Brown at UMass. They're like, please, Neil Brown, come to UMass.
Are you serious right now?
I'm serious.
Okay. Well, you remember Walt Bell? You remember Walt Bell, the Indiana offensive coordinator, that one season they were trash under Tom Allen?
I remember you complaining about him now.
He was the UMass coach. And they went like 3-30. Like I couldn't believe that Tom Allen hired a guy that went 3-30 as head coach. 3-30. I don't care how hard it is to win at UMass. Okay, they just won 2 games this year. Okay, Walt Bell went 3-30, and he hired him an offensive coordinator. Yeah, and that's why they sucked that year. His play calling was bad. But back to Neil Brown, man. I mean, would Neil Brown really want to take that job? I mean, I would. Man. They don't even pay anything. They don't even pay. Like, what are they going to do? Give him?
Well, they have a little more money because of the MAC. They have a little more, but yeah.
Wait, they're in the MAC now?
They're joining the MAC next year.
Why would the MAC want them? I mean, they're like Kent State, man. Oh my gosh, man. That is such a stupid move to the MAC. Where I mean, the MAC is where like every time your coach is good, you get poached. Every time your player's good, you get poached. That's the MAC. Like nobody watches MAC shit on Tuesday. Like their ratings suck, man. Nobody's watching that crap. Oh my gosh, man. That oh man. I don't know what's funnier, Neil Brown to UMass or UMass to the MAC. I don't know. And this game proves again that Duke's no good. There's a reason they don't have a number next to their name. They're no good.
Yeah, Mark was saying, why isn't Duke ranked when he's looking at the rankings?
Mark! What are you talking about, Mark? Duke sucks, dude. They barely beat UConn. They barely beat North Carolina. They barely beat Wake. No, they're no good. They barely beat Northwestern. No, Mark. Look at who they played. Look at who they beaten, and look at how they won. No good. Duke is no good. Worst 9-3 team in college football in the Power 5. They stink. If they have a legit, if they play anybody legit in a bowl game, there's not a lot of opt-outs. They're getting their butt kicked. Now, if they get a crap team, they'll win. But if they
remember last year, no one opted out of their bowl game for Duke. Almost all of them stayed. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if they play like a Missouri. Okay, if they play Missouri in a bowl game and Missouri doesn't have any opt-outs, Missouri's going to kill them. If Missouri plays well. That's what I'm saying. But, I mean, we don't know who Duke's going to play. I mean, Duke's is not that great. I mean, kudos to Duke for winning their games. You did what USC couldn't do. But I'm just saying, like, no. They beat all these teams by, like, 3-1 and 2 and all this, man. I mean, Wake stinks, dude. Wake is bad. UConn is bad. Like, UConn barely beat UMass. Duke barely beat them. And they barely beat Northwestern, and they barely beat North Carolina. It's just, I don't like Duke, man, this year as a whole. Very overrated. They should not be ranked. I'm glad the committee understands that. Thank you.
Well, Mark was saying they should be ranked ahead of Army.
I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't know if you agree. I would put Baylor over Duke.
Good season for Dave Aranda.
I would put Baylor at 8-4, ranked ahead of Duke at 9-3. Now, I wouldn't have Baylor ranked either, but that's the point. Duke should not be ranked. They haven't done anything to be ranked. They haven't beaten anybody. Who they beat? They beat nobody with a pulse. Absolutely nobody. North Carolina's their best win. Probably, unless I'm missing something. No. Yeah, like you said, glad for Aranda because I like the guy. I do like Dave Aranda. I thought he was toast. But he turned it around. So good job.
Neil Brown, dead and gone.
Neil, it's over. I mean, dude, this game, man, people say, remember when we were doing this game, we were predicting this game last week, people were like, oh, Texas Tech trash. Texas Tech sucks. You still saying that? Like, I don't know, man. Texas Tech's not that bad. Either that or West Virginia was the pits. I don't know. I mean, Texas Tech's not a fantastic team at all, but they did start playing better as the season went along. They got a lot better from that Abilene game.
Army 10-1. Good job, Army.
Yeah, I mean, I would put Army over Duke, but I mean, Duke could beat Army, but still, I mean, it's not saying much.
What a collapse,
man. Thank God, Pitt exposed. Pitt exposed. Another team that I said all year, no, they're not. Pitt's good. Why are they only ranked 17th? They should be ranked in the top 10. No, they lost their last 5 games. Get out of here, Narduzzi. Get out of here. Just no, not happening. I mean, when they were 7-0, did you think they were legit?
I thought they would maybe make the playoff.
Well, to be fair, I don't blame you for thinking that though, because the ACC is pretty bad. So, but man, they fell off. Now I will say, in their defense though, in Narduzzi's defense, because as much as I'm kind of clowning some teams right now, I do give defense when defense is deserved, and they did lose Holstein, and he hasn't played.
Yeah,
would it have been different? I don't know, maybe. But at the same time, they still weren't as good as people thought when they were undefeated. I never thought it. I remember the day of when they were 7-0 when he did this show. I was like, no, they're going to start losing, and they did. So I'm glad I was right. I make bad predictions all the time, but I did get Pitt right. I did get Pitt right.
Michigan State, no bowl for them. They no showed against Rutgers.
Dude, we got those two wrong. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Michigan State. We went with the team that needed the win to get the bowl. Wow. Wow, what a bad game. Do you think Aiden Childs gets better, or do you think he'll
get better?
You think you still believe in him? So you think he'll be the starter next year? Okay. I don't know. I don't like how inconsistent he is, man. Like, I feel like all season long really got better. Like, waiting for that one game where he improved, and he just didn't to me. Like even against Indiana, like at the beginning of the game, he had a couple good throws, and then the rest of the game he just sucked. So I'm just wondering, will he get better? Hopefully he does, because people are like, he's really talented, and I believe that he has talent, but too much of this season he just wasn't good.
Sad for Mack Brown.
Dude, I ain't gonna lie. I understand why they fired him, but I was sad. I felt bad. I mean, he is a good guy. I mean, I get that him saying, I'm going to be back next year, and it's like Carolina being like, well, to heck with that. You're not going to be back. Like, you suck. You're not winning. Well, I get it. And like it's like a stubborn old man that won't leave. I get that point. I understand it. But at the same time, Mack Brown's done a lot for the University of North Carolina. A lot. I mean, like, North Carolina's a basketball school, and like what he did in the 80s and 90s and now has done more to put North Carolina on the map than any other coach. Like, you had the Larry Fedora years, you had Trubisky, but like, okay. I mean, Sam Howell and Drake May have done more with those two guys alone to have people pay attention to North Carolina. Like, yeah, they weren't doing as good as they could have done with those guys, but at the same time, I'm like, I kind of, part of me just like, if he wanted another year, could you at least, like, since Mac Johnson's coming back, supposedly, now we don't know what he's going to do since Brown's not going to be there. Like, can you just give him that last year? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. They better get the next hire right. That's all I'm saying. If they don't, then I'm going to be mad with this firing. Because it just kind of sucks. I mean, it's kind of like with Jim Boeheim, like how he stepped down and all that, whatever. He basically got fired. I would have preferred it if they had just found a way to make that happen where, like, Mack Brown stepped down versus, they fired. I just don't like it. I don't like the fact that North Carolina fired him. I mean, at the same time, it's the same thing, but I just don't feel it was done right. And it's just sad that the last game of his tenure at North Carolina and all that he's done for the program ended on that fight and just his face. It hurt. I don't know if you saw it, but it hurt. It hurt to see his face. I don't know. Yeah, and they should have let him coach in the bowl game. I mean, I don't know. It just feels crappy. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. So, it is what it is.
Man, Cincinnati fell apart.
Yeah, I quit picking them, man. I went with TCU this time. I was like, I've picked Cincinnati like 4 times this year that they've lost because of Swordsby, and I'm like, no, I'm done. Satterfield showed his true.
Yeah, he's gotta be good. He's gotta be gone.
He showed his true colors. That would be epic, Jackson. Absolutely, I would love that. I'd love to talk to Mack Brown.
Washington State fell apart down the stretch. Oh, that was another one. That's sad for them.
Man, Wyoming, man. What happened? They almost beat Boise, and then they beat Washington State. They something happened at the end of the year, man. A little flip got switched. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, that's a bad look for the Pac-2. Bad look. Another bad look is Florida State. My goodness, man. Mike Norvell. People calling him Karen online. I'm like, what? People calling Mike Norvell Karen. I'm like, because he threw the flag. I'm like, dude, I don't know. All I know is Mike Norvell, man. What a fall from grace. What a like people were. I mean, they get so funny to me. Will, as fans, like Florida State fans on Twitter saying Mike Norvell is trash. He can't coach. He sucks. Karen, scum, fire him, blows, whatever. And last year they were saying he was great. What happened? Like you can't tell me that.
Well, everyone was saying, it was all Kenny Dillingham coaching Jordan Travis.
You just can't tell me though that last year he was a good coach and this year he's not. Like I said, you can't do that. You can't do that. I don't know. I mean, again, like you said, a lot of factors, a lot of factors, coaches, players. Travis was great. This year they didn't have that guy. It was just a bunch of dudes transferred in, and obviously they didn't give one flying flip about Florida State because they didn't even try in half their games. So it was just a bad mix of players. They're gonna have to do a whole lot, but maybe Gus will help. I don't know. We'll see.
Oklahoma's trash.
Alabama. And keep in mind, Alabama just sucks. Bama beat LSU by 36 points, but then LSU beats Oklahoma by 20, but then Alabama lost to Oklahoma by 21. Transitive property means nothing. Nothing.
Pop Watson, new Virginia Tech quarterback.
Yeah, Virginia Tech, bowl eligibility, disappointing year.
It's going to be, disappointing year. They're losing a lot. Both of these teams could be 3-8 next year in this game. Hopefully not, but that's probably what's going to happen.
Well, this is the running back going to be back.
He's NFL. He's going to the draft.
Okay. Well, yeah, maybe. Because he was kind of the bright spot.
Yeah.
What about Drones? Is he going to be back?
No. I mean, Pop Watson, their quarterback, that redshirt freshman, he's going to.
So, Drones is out of eligibility. Is he going to transfer?
I think he's out.
I didn't know he was that old.
Actually, he might go to the portal. I thought he played more at Baylor than he did. No, I think he has one more. He'll have one more year.
Okay. Well, if he comes back to Virginia Tech, then maybe they'll be better. But if not, then
I think he's not.
So,
yeah.
Marshall James Madison was a wild game, by the way. Absolutely wild game.
Yeah,
James Madison blew it.
UNLV Boise, man.
That's a good game. Now again, dumb question, but just to clarify, because I haven't been paying attention to all the scenarios and all that much, but just to clarify, the winner of this game makes the playoff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That means that this game matters a lot. I mean, do you think Boise State is that much better of a team than UNLV? I don't think so.
I don't know, man. I think it'll be close.
It's gonna be tight. I mean, you look at Madsen and you see 21 touchdowns and 3 picks, and you're like, wow, that's good. But then you actually watch him play, and you're like, could be better. That's kind of the vibe I get. And then you see Genty, and you're just like, how is that not the Heisman winner? How? Look at those stats. How? I don't know how you don't give him the Heisman, man. I mean, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram's stats were nowhere near as good. Again, I know it's tough for competition, but Genty's stats are sick. They're sick. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that don't throw for that many touchdowns. I don't know. I'll give it to him, but I mean, Travis Hunter, don't get me wrong. Travis Hunter's really good.
He's not that good on defense. He's not that good.
I would go with Genty for Heisman. That'd be my vote. He's not going to win it, but that'd be my vote. And I think it's sad. And I will look at him as Heisman winner forever if he doesn't get it, because the dude's sick. But that being said, I don't know how much that matters though in this game, because I think UNLV has solid players too. Ricky White's a good receiver. Quarterback play has been kind of up and down after that one guy left, but then the other guy was pretty good. He did make some mistakes, kind of blew the Syracuse game. But UNLV, I mean, now they lost to Syracuse. They played Boise though, right?
They lost by 5.
They lost by 5. I thought so.
At UNLV.
I don't know. I mean, this is a 50-50 game for me. I mean, it is at Boise because that's how the Mountain West does it, where it's on the home field. But I don't know. I'll let you pick first.
I'll go 31-24 Boise.
I would go with UNLV. because I do think, unironically, that as a whole of a team, I think they're better. But it is at Boise, and Genty, I just love the guy. Love watching him for 3 years. I think he's just elite. I think he'll find a way to get a touchdown at the very end. So I'll go Boise 28-24.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not confident, though. Just like Scotty B. I'm not confident. I think UNLV could easily win, but I'll give me Boise.
Mm-hmm. Army,
I think that spread's right, honestly. I think that spread of 4 is right.
Army and Tulane at West Point. I'd like to see Army win, but I don't know. Probably not.
I don't know. I mean, the problem with the Army and Navy teams in the first place is that they're just so hard to judge compared to the rest of football. It's hard to rank them. It's hard to really compare because they're different teams. I mean, they got guys, that are in the military.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different style of play. It's all different. Whereas the other teams is college kids, that are just learning studies and junk versus like the military. I don't know. This is a hard game. I like Army. I think Army's had a good year. It's been good to see Army and Navy be good again.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them, like they've had a lot of bad years. Thing is, like I see Scotty B's point though. Tulane got exposed, and I think Army wins. Tulane's like I don't know. I mean, it's also this game is being played at Army too.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, man? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, we don't watch these teams much.
Yeah, we don't watch these.
That's another problem. Like, I legitimately have not watched Tulane, like, at all this year.
Mm-hmm.
I watched, like, 5 minutes of the Memphis game. Like, in Army, to be fair, I haven't watched them once. Literally. I've seen some clips. I've seen some tape, highlights, but I haven't.
I'll go 24-21 Army, I guess. Yeah.
I haven't watched them. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
27-24 Army, I guess. I'll go Army because they're at home. It's a dumb pick, though, probably.
Yeah.
Now, right here, I'm already making a pick on this one. I'm going Arizona State. I could be completely wrong on this one, but I love the way that they've played. I love the way that they've played this year. And I think Arizona State, just the momentum they have, Dillingham, young guy, just the energy and the team's feeding off of it. Scatabo is an insane back. Their quarterback's good. Now Scotty B saying Arizona State's best receiver won't be available. I had no idea about that because, like I said, I just cannot keep up with everything. Man, there's just so much freaking news going on. I can't think about it all. Rocco Beck's solid, but can be turnover prone. I'm going Arizona State. They've looked better to me the last few weeks than Iowa State has. Iowa State's had a lot of games recently where they've been up and down. They've found ways to win, but they have not been consistent. The K-State win's good, but give me Arizona State to beat Iowa State 31-24.
I don't know, man. That BYU performance with Arizona State kind of freaks me out a bit. I'll go Iowa State. Why not? I'll go Iowa State. Rocco Beck. I think they'll finally do it.
We got Jackson with the history of Iowa State wins. Will be the third conference title in school history. Their first two were in 1911.
I'll go 34-28 Cyclones.
Okay, so we got a deferring pick on that one. And with Jackson in the Missouri Valley, nobody here was alive for that. Jackson always bringing up the laurels of college football. Appreciate it, Jackson.
Yeah, Mark brought that up. He's like, yeah. I mean, it's just they grab defeat from the jaws of victory, Dave. They're just frustrating to watch. Like,
we got Dave Valensky with a $9.99 super chat. Appreciate it, Dave Valensky. He says, went back to watch you talk about Minnesota, Wisconsin. I don't get it with you guys. You thought we were going to be 4-8 this year, and then you say we're supposed to be 10-2. My point with that is that the way Minnesota played at times this season, that Penn State game, the other games that they almost won, they could have been 10-2. I mean, really, they should have been 10-2.
Credit to Brosmer for improving as the year went on,
He
man.
did.
I mean, I was
Way
fearing
better
for the
than Cal
worst.
McManus, or however you
Yeah,
pronounce
I
his
was
name.
fearing
Cal
for the
McManus was
worst for
terrible.
him, like after that Carolina game. That was why we set
So,
our expectations so low. He did play a lot better.
yes. He wasn't as good as Tanner Morgan 2019, but he was better than
Yeah.
Tanner Morgan at the end and Cal McManus.
Yeah.
But yeah, which that's not a high bar. But that's the thing. Like Minnesota coming into the season, like they looked like they were going to suck and probably go 4-8, 5-7. But the way they played at times this year, they could have been 10-2, but they weren't. You know why? Because at the end of the day, that's what Minnesota ended up being, was 7-5. They won some that they could have lost, and they lost some that they could have won. So I guess they ended up right where they belong. At 7-5. I mean, they were better this year, but I'm just saying a few things could have bounced their way to make them 10-2, and they didn't do it. But it is what it is. But do definitely appreciate the super chat. Yeah, I'm definitely read it right now. Appreciate it, Dave. Absolutely on that. But yeah, I mean, Minnesota, I mean, PJ Fleck saved his job, so 100%.
Mm-hmm. All right. SEC championship. Can Texas get Georgia back? It all depends on how well Georgia plays because they're so inconsistent.
I want Georgia to lose, though, man. I mean, I want them to lose. I really don't have that a lot of bias, man. I try not to, but man, they piss me off. I mean, it's bad enough they got all those DUIs and off the field issues, and then that Georgia Tech game. I mean, just sick, man. I don't know. Texas is favored. I don't trust Texas though.
I know.
What do you think? I mean, I think Georgia has had a lot of bad games this year, but the problem is that when they want to show up, they can't. I mean, when they played Texas earlier this year, they curb stomped them. But I mean, the Kentucky game, the Mississippi State game, the Georgia Tech game, the Alabama game, they've had a lot of bad games. I mean, the Bama second half was good, but they've had a lot of bad games too. Yeah, it's true. It's got to be saying 8 overtime.
They did have an extra day, though. It was on a Friday.
I don't know. I mean, this is just impossible. If Texas was more trustworthy, then it'd be fine. Wouldn't be an issue. But, I mean, it is in Mercedes-Benz, but there's going to be a lot of Texas fans there. So Georgia got the location advantage, but there's going to be a lot of Texas fans there. This is just a frustrating game, though. Like, Georgia has talent, but they have played so poorly a lot this season.
I don't know. I think Georgia will show up, unfortunately. I mean, I want Texas to win, but I think Georgia will show up and they'll win 38-20. I think they'll win big.
28-24 Georgia. I don't want it. I don't want it to happen, but if Georgia loses, that will eliminate Indiana from playing them. But
if Georgia wins, that'll mean they'll get a bye and they won't play Indiana anyways.
But then Indiana might play Texas.
Yeah.
I don't want either.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
I don't want either to happen. I just want Georgia gone. If they had lost to Georgia Tech and then they lost this game, they'd be done. So I mean, I just wanted them out of the playoff. They don't deserve it. But like again, they show up in these type games. So I guess Georgia. I guess.
No one is picking Penn State.
31-17 Oregon. Penn State is not good enough on offense. They're just not.
I was going to say 34-17 Oregon, so I'll stick with that. 3 more than
yeah.
No,
they're just not good enough on offense. I mean, they proved it in the Ohio State game.
Now, are we giving Penn State too many points?
Letter B says it would be in Oregon's best interest to lose this.
I mean, I know they would get the easier path, but they want to be that team telling the players that they're going to play hard and they're going to win. Like
And he's still okay. I'm back. Sorry, I froze for a minute. Can you imagine telling your team to lose?
Yeah.
After going under, like, no. Like Oregon wants to win the whole thing and be undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I mean, I get your point, letter B, but that's nuts. Like you can't tell your team that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't. So I think Oregon will win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Penn State good enough to beat up the team that should but then lose the team better because you know why? Their offense just is vanilla. It's a offense every year. It's the same.
And last game, Clemson SMU.
If Clemson wins this game, does SMU still have a chance to get in?
They'll have it. It depends how close it is, too.
Or will Bama get in? Will Bama get in? Like if it's a 28-24.
I think they'll put in Bama.
If it's a 28-24 Clemson win, SMU's done and Bama gets in.
Sadly, I think that's what will happen.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I mean, it would be better though for Alabama if SMU won, because it would eliminate any chance of it.
Yeah.
Kind of like how it was better that Miami went ahead and lost versus losing in the title game and still possibly getting in.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, man? These games are hard. There's only been a couple to me that have been easy. Like
I do think they'll. I mean, I think it'll be almost all Clemson fans there because it's in Charlotte, which is only 2 hours away from Clemson.
(31-24) Clemson.
But Clemson also just.
I don't know.
I don't know. You know what? I'll go SMU.
I don't know, man. I mean, think.
I'll go 28-24 SMU. It's a hard game to pick.
I only picking Clemson because it's the home field, basically, and SMU. I mean, Clemson's got better players. I know it doesn't matter at the end of the day if you don't play well, but I'll go Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
And we also had earlier, Austin said, don't forget Jacksonville State, Western Kentucky. That wasn't on there.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have it. I had it on top 25.
Yeah, so
I don't know who to pick, though. I haven't watched these teams.
Yeah, because we didn't do the MAC and all that either. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Rich Rod had a bad game early in the year.
Yeah.
I don't remember it, but like Jacksonville State had like one of the games early in the season where they got destroyed, but they did rebound.
The cold weather could help Army. I never thought about that.
Do you know who to pick in any of these other ones?
No. I don't know who to pick.
I don't know, man. I mean, Western Kentucky still kind of air raid. I mean, they're not as air raid as they were, but Jacksonville State obviously is good at running the ball. I don't know. Do you have a pick for any of them? I don't know.
No. Let's look at the portal.
You're done. You're done. It's just hard.
Concepcion, I would take at Notre Dame. He's good. Wegman. I don't know where Wegman's going to go.
Big 12.
NC State, maybe? I don't know.
Do you think Miller Moss goes to IU?
I was going to say Michigan, probably.
Yeah, Michigan's got more money, but they got that Underwood guy.
Well, yeah, I think
They got the Underwood guy.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. But
They've been
they're
talking about
saying,
Underwood for like 3 weeks.
but I think that Underwood will like take over midway through the season, and Miller Moss will start it off.
I can't believe like you got Jaheim Otis leaving, man. You used to never see this stuff.
Did he play at all this year?
I don't know, honestly. Don't really think he maybe did much, but it's just crazy. Guys like that leave though. You used to never see it. You're just gonna have portal chaos with every team.
Yeah. I would take Concepcion at Notre Dame. He's good for NC State.
Yeah, it would help with the speed department.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that Notre Dame's always lacked.
We have it at the running backs position, but yeah.
Your receivers are just not the best. Mm-hmm. And then the Ford International guys, he been good?
The Marshall guy's better. He's been all right.
Yeah, because I remember you picking up the Ford International guy a lot last year.
He had a couple of nice catches against USC, but nothing. The thing is though, we can't really use the speed because Riley can't really throw deep. So
that's why Riley's not an NFL quarterback, man. Yeah. You can't throw deep. That already just eliminates you, man. Like if you cannot throw deep, that's crazy.
Another FIU receiver. Would you take Salter or Miller Moss?
Like you said, I've seen Michigan.
Would you take Salter? Those are two big ones. Do you think Salter will be good?
Some people are saying Salter to IU. I've seen that as well. Yeah. I know that Cignetti followed Miller Moss on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
I know that. I know people. A lot of people.
You know it all. You know who he's following on Twitter.
What'd you say?
You know it all, IU. You know everything, IU, man. You know who Cignetti's following on Twitter now? Like,
I'm the IU guy, man. I know a lot about Bama, but for whatever reason, I know a lot more about IU than almost anything. Yeah. I'm trying to get my Twitter knowledge up for the other programs. I gotta get my Bama knowledge. There's so many Bama insiders for that, right? But IU, yeah, he is though. I don't think he's followed Salter.
Oh, Sluka, there he is. Sluka.
Oh man, yeah, Sluka portal the whole time. Yeah, he was the first portal guy, man, because he's like, oh, UNLV didn't give me what I wanted or something. Or remember, that was the whole argument. People were going crazy about that. Now they're Bama guy.
Castellanos.
Dude, man, that was a tough loss for them. I know that he was struggling a little bit, but the thing is that he was pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, we have a guy that went from South Carolina to Kansas. We already have one.
A linebacker.
Yeah.
Well, Kansas needs help, so. Yeah, Purdue,
McCauley,
man. The whole Purdue team's going to be gone. Yeah, Donovan McCauley. I've seen people say he's going to Cincinnati. I don't know, though. I wouldn't go to Cincinnati. I don't know.
Calandria, man.
Yeah, McCauley was sad. He was a good player, but he just never peaked. He never peaked. And with Cignetti, they had so many good receivers that he just fell down the depth chart. He had a lot better of a year last year, but IU wasn't good last year either. So it sucks with that. Calandria, he's probably group of 5.
Yeah, he's G5, yeah.
No, he's not. He's not going anywhere else.
Jaden Mickey, he'll probably be Power 5.
Think IU will make a push? I don't think
so.
He
would be good for IU, yeah.
It seems like Indiana's going more for guys, though, that have a lot of success already in college and want to move up instead of guys that are at bigger schools that didn't play much. But we'll see. I'd take him. Devin Neal for Louisville. So I don't know if Austin has a lot on him.
See if I recognize anyone
Indiana linebacker. He didn't play much.
else.
Purdue guy.
Yeah.
It's going to get a whole lot crazier if we do this next week. If we're back next week, I'm sure we will. But the portal is going to get crazier between now and then. This is just premature, and we don't really know where anyone's going yet, outside of a few crystal balls and some rumblings. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. So you have the Collins show with Jackson. Are you doing anything else?
Definitely doing the Collins show with Jackson on Thursday night this week. Probably if I can manage it, I'm probably going to try to do the Indiana show right when we get off here. Get that done. I tried to do it earlier, but I had a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, Jackson putting the link in chat. So definitely appreciate if you guys go check out Hoosiers Live at Indiana and the Voice of College Football. Definitely be over there probably for 30 minutes or so talking to Hoosiers, some stuff to talk about. But yeah, it was a fun show tonight, man. Glad we got to do it. It's been a great season for Notre Dame, for IU. Bama's been shaky, but it's still looking like they might get in the playoff, which is crazy. That Bama Notre Dame matchup, that'd be wild. That'd be crazy.
That'd be wild.
I kind of hope that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow at 5:15. Me and Jackson are gonna be talking college basketball, so that'll be fun.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and then later that night, later that night we're gonna be talking to Ryan Roberts. He covers Notre Dame for A to Z Sports, so that'll be fun. I don't think we'll go live. I think we'll. I'll probably just post that on my channel, record it, so that should be fun. Talking Irish with him.
Absolutely.
And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Appreciate the super chat from Dave Valensky. He said he was doing his crap on Minnesota winning 10 games. We can't lose the Rutgers UNC. Absolutely. But do appreciate the super chat. Appreciate everybody for being here tonight. And can't wait for the conference championship games. They're going to be crazy.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.